I'm Ed Amoroso from Tag Cyber, and I'm here with my friend Mike McKee, who is a senior executive at Proofpoint and also had been with Observe It. So a lot of you probably recognize Mike from that from the former role. Mike, it's nice to see you. How are you?
Ed, it's good to see you. I wish we were actually together in New York across from your old AT&T offices, but this is the best we can do nowadays. But great to see you and hear your voice again.
That's right. We're filming this in late November 2020, so we're still kind of in pandemic land. But it'll be nice to catch up with you, and I'm sure a lot of people watching will want to get an update on the about a year now that you guys have merged with Proofpoint, and it's been an exciting time. So why don't we start? Maybe just give a little summary of the team that you're leading now. You got a broad team across Proofpoint. Tell us about the work that you're doing focused on Insider, and then we can catch up on how the merger is working.
Yeah, sounds good, Ed. So very similar focus to Observe It in terms of focusing on insider threat and trying to provide those early warning signals when people are acting outside of security policies or doing things that they shouldn't. I just feel like we're kind of doing that on steroids now at Proofpoint, in that we used to take a purely endpoint perspective with our lightweight agent on the endpoint, and now it's part of the Proofpoint information protection platform. And I know you're a very buzzword sensitive guy, Ed, so hopefully information protection platform isn't too many words and too complicated an acronym, but at Proofpoint, we've got great visibility in the cloud, we've got great visibility on the network, and now on the endpoint. So, and obviously from a scale perspective, we were probably about 1/20th the size of Proofpoint. So to go from having, go to having 8,000 enterprise customers around the world, Proofpoint recently eclipsed $1 billion. So similar focus, once again, trying to help security teams decrease their risk with regards to what people are doing, but just a much bigger span to do that over, which has been really exciting.
Now, let's talk a little bit about technology. I've always thought about you guys as living kind of in this behavior analytics, insider, data leakage protection, threat management. Like there's a lot of different areas that converge that I've always thought you guys did pretty well. Tell me a little bit about that. Like if people maybe are less familiar with your solution offer, share with us maybe some of the problems that you think you guys solve in areas where you would be applicable.
Yeah, so insider threats, one of those things that years ago people would ask, you mean insider trading? What is that? But the marketing line of people being the new perimeter is something that we believed pre-COVID and pre-pandemic, and that fundamental premise that breaches start with people. And for a long time in the Proofpoint marketing material, it said that 96% of breaches involve a person, and you have to protect those people from email protection products and other malware, ransomware, all the things coming in. Taking that one step further of not just protecting those people, but protecting the people and the data that they're working with, and bringing that visibility from the network to the cloud. Proofpoint made another acquisition in the CASB space, Cloud Access Security Broker. And then to combine that with our endpoint gives that broad visibility on who's being targeted, who's acting in ways that they shouldn't, and frankly, where their data is going, so that they can quickly diagnose what the root cause is and stop data from, as I said, going places where it shouldn't.
And I was going to say, has it become more difficult to figure out who insiders are now in these sort of complex businesses that we all run?
I mean, without a doubt, just the move to contractors and partners and suppliers blurs those lines. I would say that hasn't changed as much, kind of post-pandemic, as much as like literally people working from home, not having the personal relationship with people, not being able to like see the machines they're working on, and work with those people face to face each day. So that fundamental change, and with the pandemic, there's the mental stress that comes with that can often lead to people making bad decisions. So having that visibility on what people are doing when you never physically see those people is super important. So that's something that's increased a lot. And what's really cool is one of the concepts that Proofpoint had been developing as an integration point amongst all of their products is this concept of very attacked people.
Mm.
And it's not always the CFO or CEO. Often it's somebody, in procurement, in manufacturing, in development, trader, whatever it might be. But they take all of the knowledge that they have from external threats going after people, and they can figure out, okay, who are the very attacked people? And at Observe It, we have this concept of a watch list. So now our watch list is even smarter than it used to be. And to your point around behavior analytics, we just have so much more data to better understand what's normal behavior and therefore the anomalous behavior that everyone worries about, taking the very attacked people technology behind that comes up with that list with our watch list. And now our solution is cloud-based. When we spoke last, I think we just had the on-prem version. Now we offer our insider threat management solution both on-prem and in the cloud. And we've gone from having one person who's in AI and ML to Proofpoint's almost 100 people. So once again, I talk about it as being like Observe It on steroids in terms of just having so many more resources, so much more data, such a broader lens to understand who's at risk and protect the data that those people are working with.
Now, the telemetry that you guys are pulling, this intelligence, what's the kind of the basic algorithm here? Are you comparing normal against observed? Is it that kind of idea where you're using behavior analytics as the mechanism for identifying some sort of anomaly?
Some behavior analytics and some just rules based.
Hmm.
It sounds crazy, but if you're operating after a certain hour, if you're moving files of a certain size, if you are moving files to places where you shouldn't, I mean, some people say that if all the prevention tools worked exactly as advertised and everybody followed the security policies, there wouldn't be any problems. But as you know from many years in the hot seat, that's not reality.
Yeah.
And exceptions and extended privileges to people, those are all one-way streets. And as a result, moving from that world of prevent to detect and respond as soon as something looks a little bit different, it's super, super important to be able to figure out what happened quickly. At Observe, we say know the whole story with the WHO in bold, but we believe that understanding that situation, if you have all your data around people as opposed to around files or endpoints, as was the case before, but if you structure the way you look at the world around people, their activities, and things that they shouldn't be doing based, as you said, Ed, on their normal behavior or specific rules that they're supposed to be following, that gives you a pretty good indication when you should be digging deeper on certain activity and or allow you to diagnose the root cause, or unfortunately, in the case of malicious insiders, fix that situation.
Hey, we live in this privacy-obsessed culture right now, and it's more than just on a personal basis. All these compliance requirements now in California, obviously GDPR from the UK and so on. What's been your experience with this combination of sort of behavioral data collection and some of the privacy issues? Do they ever collide, or is it pretty complementary?
They definitely collide. It's that trade-off. I mean, the last thing anyone in the world wants to be is Big Brother watching everything that's going on. So, and kind of back to my use of the word steroids again. One of the things that we've built in is really, really granular role-based access control. And the thing I hear the most that people are worried about is watching the watchers and having a policy in place whereby, okay, if Ed's doing something out of the norm, who's going to find that out? Is Ed's boss going to find that out? And really making sure you've got that incident response playbook down in a way that that person's privacy is protected.
Well, let's talk about future here. We're on the cusp of 2021. Let's talk about insider threat. I know just about every survey that we do, and I run a big index at NYU where we ask insider threat is always, if it's not number one, then maybe phishing is one, and insiders too. So it goes back and forth. You guys at Proofpoint, you're in both of those businesses. But what do you think? Like, are we going to get to the point where maybe this is not on everybody's top list, or is it just inherent that when you run a business, the people who have the keys to the kingdom have to be controlled. What would you guess next year and moving forward? How would you graph this threat?
Yeah, so I think the more the data can come together, the better. It's obviously, I think security goes back and forth between best of breed solutions and platforms. Being part of a larger company that has an information protection platform and a threat protection platform, I'm now in the platform camp. But I also, having spoken to CISOs, they don't want to tie these systems together. They don't want to try to match the data set from one and bring it into another. So the more intelligence that can be shared cross-platform, the better. As it pertains to people, we have a couple larger partnerships with Okta and with CyberArk, because obviously on the identity management side and the access management side, there's a natural tie between people doing things outside of normal behavior or being targeted by an external threat, and making sure that you're tying that to the privileges that they're working with. I also believe, once again, this idea of looking at the world people-centric, and when you're trying to protect your data, rather than the historical way of doing DLP or data loss prevention, which is file-based, really doing that people-based makes a lot of sense. And I think the whole work from home thing, I should say work from home world that we're in now, and will frankly be in some form for a long time, just requires that people-centric view of the world. So I think it'll be people-centric, and I think there'll be a high demand to tie a lot of the data together related to people, so you can, once again, understand the story very quickly and stop, slow people down when things look outside the norm.
Well, Mike, it's wonderful to connect up. On behalf of my team at Tag Cyber and also all the people watching, I want to thank you for taking some time to share. It's always fun to catch up with one of the good guys in our industry, and I couldn't be more happy. I mean that sincerely. I see a lot of mergers that don't stick. This has been a good one. I'm very proud of what you guys have done. It's good for our industry.
Well, appreciate the guidance through the whole process, Ed. You're always asking lots of good questions and providing lots of good thoughts. So keep them coming. Just because we're bigger doesn't mean we don't need that advice and those thoughts and that sort of candid strokes of reality every once in a while.
Awesome. Well, listen again, thank you so much. And for the rest of you watching, we'll see you all next time.
Okay. Thank you.